Three, two, and one. Welcome back, Media Files podcast listeners. How's it been? I know this has been, I know you guys are probably tired of hearing about it. Like, oh, you guys post and then you don't post. But there is a fallacy in the idea of a channel shared between different people. Obviously, there is, a lot of there's a lot of freedom with that. But with that freedom, we also have other things outside where you will, just stack your priorities, like what's most important to you in that moment in time. And for me, as I said, with finals and all the other stuff, it's most important for me to focus, study, pass my exams, and finish out the semester right versus trying to upload, and failing in something that I'm literally paying money to do, if that makes sense. So, anyhow, now the summer's here, I'm not taking summer courses. So my plan is, at least from starting out and to at least try to make it more consistent, there will be at least one new episode every Friday, at least every Friday. Because again, these don't take a lot of time, in all honesty. I can just sit at the computer, hit record, blab on for a little bit, and hopefully it connects with the audience that we've built up. If it does, cool. Like, subscribe. If it doesn't, not every topic is for everybody. And that's life. Not everything works for every single person. So with that out of the way, that's going to be the new attempt or the new challenge, I guess, for this month and moving forward with the, with the summer right around the corner. A lot of people have already gotten out of school. A lot of people have already started their vacations. They've already gone to the beach and they're sitting there with their lap. That's something I've never understood, and where that stereotype came from, where if you're rich, you'll sit on the beach with a laptop. Like, I don't know about you guys, how hard it is to get just dust out of your keyboard. Can you imagine sand and water and what? Anywho, I'm getting off topic. So essentially, we are now going to leave our topics up to fate. In other words, put topics on a wheel, spin that wheel, and that's what I'll talk about today. So, lucky viewers, today our topic is going to be gaming pre-orders. Now, I'm not going to dive into this long-winded essay about the history of pre-orders. I think a lot of us, especially those who grew up around the PlayStation 1 age, like the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, all those older consoles, are familiar with the concept of being able to buy a game or, place money for something before it's released. Now, I don't know when that started, and I don't know necessarily whose idea was to start doing that, of course. And I could probably do a separate video essay on that, but how riveting would that be? But the idea is that for those of us who aren't gamers, again, this is for everybody, but for those who aren't gamers, pre-orders are basically where a company will announce a game. And based on trailers and hype and, features and all that stuff, people will be excited for the game. Now, those who are extra excited will put down money up front saying, I want this game as soon as it drops. As soon as it drops. Now, a lot of people can equate that to, let's say, the new iPhone drops. I'm going to put money down. I'm going to stand at the Apple Store for 20 days to get my copy of this iPhone that is the same thing as 20 other iPhones that have been released. They just slapped a new name on it and a new number. But anywho, you can tell that I have Android phones. But long story short, the pre-order is the customer saying, hey, I like your idea so much, I am willing to put money on it. and bam. Now, back in the day, that's a song too. If you guys look it up, it's pretty good. But back in the day, a lot of pre-orders were for physical copies, as in for physical consoles, physical games, and all the other stuff. Now, that made a lot more sense in terms of pre-order, right? Because a lot of times they would also incentivize you with cool memorabilia. You could get like, I'm just going to use an example. Let's say they release Sly Cooper 3 and they're like, yo, if you want to play this game, if you want to copy before everybody else, so if it runs out, you still get a guaranteed copy. If you order it, you'll also get a like statue of the Sly Cooper cane. You'll get like a actual Thievius Raccoonus book. And, maybe you'll get like a cap that Sly wears, or maybe you'll get like replica glasses of Bentleys, or, like there are different things that will incentivize you to say, hey, this is something I wouldn't mind slapping a few $100 extra on the table for. Right? Like that makes more sense. Now, let's speed up to the present day where we are. And as a personal gamer, fan of it, I love it. I enjoy it casually. But as a gaming fan, there is one thing I have sworn to never do, and that is pre-order. Now, I am not here to shame people for pre-ordering. I think you guys do that pretty well on your own. But I think as we are in the quote-unquote digital video gaming age, where a lot of times what you're paying for, the extra content, are things that are going to be released later on, either free or paid. And I think a good example of that is with Sparking Zero. And you guys are like, man, you love picking on this game. Yes, I do. Because it was a missed opportunity that got destroyed. There is no reason why that game should not have been as good as it was hyped up to be. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Sparking Zero was one of the few games, because I also have another habit. And you might be like, oh, you're just a cheapskate, It's called financial literacy, people. I will never, ever, on rare occasions, I will never buy a game as soon as it's released. And some of you might be like, but why? Like, if they build up all the hype and all this stuff with commercials. And hold on. Well, that's something. Hold on. Let me talk about that too real quick. There are people who are like, you cannot judge a game, a movie, or all this other stuff based on the trailer or the commercial that they use to advertise it. Yes, you can. That's what they use the commercial and advertisement for. As in, they use that as a medium, as a tool to get you interested in their product. In other words, if it drums up some form of interest in you, that is a guarantee that you will at least try it out. Now, if you try it out and you're like, I don't like this anymore, you can get your money back, hopefully. That's what I would have done with Sparking Zero if I had any common sense. But, anywho, there are very few times that I will slap money down on the table right away for a video game. Why? I think a lot of you can kind of guess why, especially in the current, I would say the current generation of AAA titles, or quadruple A titles, as some companies like to tout. But where a lot of games will release unfinished, they will release boring, unimaginative. They just release things with the assumption that you, the consumer, will consume without actually thinking or having thoughts about what it is that you're consuming. In other words, companies assume that we are robots and that we will continuously slap down dollars on the table forever for their products. Like, do we not have brains? Do we not have desires? Do we not have common sense? Like, I think Nintendo is a good example of that for me. And I, talked about that in the last video. Things have just continued to spiral downhill with them to where they are threatening people, saying that if we observe or feel that you're doing something illegal with our console, quote unquote, we can brick it. So that $500 console you spent your hard-earned money on, we can take it from you. And they update their terms of service so you can't sue them. But you're like, well, that seems completely like unfair. How can we like rectify this issue? Right? I mean, I feel like there could be a whole bunch of loopholes, right? Like it says the person who agreed to the terms, as in the individual who purchased the console, can't sue them. But how about if I buy that as a gift for someone else and they're like, bro, they bricked this console, but I can't do anything about it. Well, I can say something about it because I didn't sign that agreement, but I purchased the console. I feel like there is a loophole guideline book to law. And I'm sure it's on some shady website where you'll get a virus as soon as you click on the first link. But I'm pretty sure the reward is way worth any Trojan virus you'll get. But I digress. The whole point of it is that we have the ability to basically like control how well a company performs. Like Nintendo's just a really good example for me. With a lot of things that have happened over the past couple of years with frivolous lawsuits and, you know, like their games never going on sale. Like, here's a personal pet peeve of mine. There are a lot of games that Nintendo release that I don't understand why people are so excited for them. And granted, you can be excited for whatever you want. But YouTubers are the most honest individuals ever. And you're like, bro, what the heck are you talking about? Like, they scam, they do this. What I mean is they're the most honest because they typically put their entire lives on the internet for literally for scrutiny, to be dissected. Like, that's why the internet is so dangerous, because people can just make up whatever they want. But again, that is the danger of entering this, stratus, like entering this line of work is like, and this is work. Like, you cannot sit there and tell me that my channel is going to be where I post brain rot Minecraft videos. Like, there was, when I first started making YouTube videos on my other channel, there was another guy who I would compare my like videos to be like, is this the right thing to do? Am I making the right choice? This man posted like, it was, it's kind of like Minecraft Battle Royale videos where it'd be him fighting against like other, like, the namesake characters like Gojo or Goku, or like this Battle Royale of anime proportions. But this man would repost the same video every other day. And I'm like, how stupid does this guy think we are? And then he has like 2 views, 3 views, 1 view, 2 views. And I'm like, this has to be a bot account. There is no way that someone thought that this could actually work as content. Because I think, and again, I'm not trying to be like the Debbie Downer, but I have a kid and I pay attention to a lot of the things that she watches, because that's what parents are supposed to do. You're supposed to monitor the things that your child is consuming. Because if they just consume whatever they want and then something happens and you're like, where did that come from? Well, you didn't see what they were eating. Right? You take your eyes off your kid for a second and they got something in their mouth that's like browner. And you're like, where did that come from? But, so I feel like kids are kind of the go-to for a lot of channels and people. And it's like you have adults acting like kids and kids who are like just awkward on camera. Because they're kids, they have all this fun and energy. But as they grow older, it's like, well, I become more self-aware. Like, like we should not pander content to a specific target audience. You should have a target audience that makes sense for you. As in, I do not think it is a good idea to dumb down your content for kids when what you're producing is not for kids. Like literally when I upload these videos, YouTube will ask me, is this video made for kids? And I say no. We don't like when I do my personal videos, I don't curse. I don't use any like profane language, or I try not to. But most of the time, what I'm talking about isn't going to like shift your child's perspective on life and make them question their own existence and reality itself. I literally talk about video games, anime, comic books, and all the other stuff. It's pretty, pretty simple. But if I'm over here making content that is provocative, like literally provocative, why is that allowed on YouTube? But you will strike certain channels down. I get ads, these AI like sexy girl ads, and I'm like, who's monitoring this stuff? Who? YouTube? Like, why are you allowing this stuff to be on here? And it gets worse every single day. You got ads that lie about games and what they can do. Ads that are provocative way beyond the scope of what anyone should be seeing. It's just softcore porn at that point. And you can demonetize this or whatever. But that's what it is because, bro, anyhow, you should not try to pander to a certain audience or to a younger audience just because it's easy views or easy money. No. Actually create good content and produce it for the audience that you're making it for. For me, it's typically adults who are around my age. Like we all have things that we want to say or things that we want to do. We all connect through that in the same way. So, we went off on a tangent there, but with Nintendo, I have yet to really understand YouTubers. Man, I sometimes like chase the rabbit down the hole and then end up in like freaking Japan or something somehow. But YouTubers are honest in terms of if they say they love something or they enjoy something, what will they do? They will produce video after video after video after video. They will make a whole series about a game. Literally. They will play that game literally for like, here's my litmus test of how good a game is. Because a lot of times when we're watching YouTubers play games, it's because A, we like their personality and what they add to the game. B, because they are actually good at the game and they, produce quality content. Or 3, we just really like the game and just watch, we like watching people play it. I don't know why that was hard to get out. But 9 times out of 10, it's a combination of the first two. And then the third one just kind of hops in there. But the third one is typically what guides us to look for gameplay. And then we find someone that we like. And then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, for me, it's like when a new game comes out and it's like I'm playing it. I'm like, man, I wonder if anybody else is having any strategies or maybe like, did they discover anything? Like, like Phasmophobia is one example for me. Like when Phasmophobia dropped, a lot of people were building their channels initially on that. And they were playing it all the time. And Phasmophobia has a lot of replay value because there's so many different types of entities. One, so many different types of locations, different types of evidence, and a whole bunch of other random factors in there that makes every single run different. Right? It's that perfect formula of randomization that makes it interesting every play. Now, until you get to the point where you're like, man, I know this is a gym as soon as I step my foot into the door, that's different. But I play it every now and then just to have fun with it. I'm not like a try hard who's like, I'm trying to play this game to where I know that it inside and out. And some people have fun like that. But, you know, that's what killed Sparking Zero. But we'll get to that. But let's stick with the Dragon Ball example, right? I like playing Dragon Ball games. I always have. Dragon Ball is and will always be one of my top favorite animes. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Super, questionable. No, I don't like Super. GT, it's novel, but, you know, it's original, sure, but it's not my favorite. But the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z will always hold a place in my heart somewhere. So I played a lot of Budokai, Tenkaichi, like I played a lot of Dragon Ball games in my lifetime. So when Bandai was like, we are creating Dragon Ball The Breakers. And I sat there thinking to myself, I'm like, but why? Like, Dragon Ball is not a stranger to foreign or out there concepts for games. I remember there was one game I played. It's still one of my favorites. It's called Legendary Super Warriors Dragon Ball. It is a Game Boy Color game. Look it up. It's like pixel sprites, and you will see those same sprites in other games. Now, that game is like a combination of like fighting, but it's driven by cards. So you start off in battle. You have your character, you have the character. Throughout the match, you have to do certain things. So you have to build up your ki in order to land attacks. Your opponent can dodge them based on like the cards they use. You know, there's physical, there's beam attacks. And also where you are on the map also dictates how much damage you do. Like I don't really remember exactly, but I think if you're like closer to the front and in the air, I think beam attacks do more damage. And if you're up front and on the ground, you do more like hand-to-hand damage. And I love that game because you just buy it and it's like you can literally unlock everybody, I think. I don't think there was anybody who was like off limits. And they had a card game for the Game Boy Advance, which I remember sucked, but I still played it. It was pretty cool. We had the Legacy of Goku that was on Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and all that stuff. Like, there's a plethora of Dragon Ball games that span a lot of different types, different genres. Like, we had Kakarot, which is an RPG, like all these different things. Now, when they announced The Breakers, I was like, what kind of cash grabby attempt is this? Because, and again, YouTubers are honest. There were YouTubers that I followed who were so excited for this game. They had the beta, they were playing it. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, this looks like Xenoverse assets, just flipped, Xenoverse 2 assets. And I'm like, you know, maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I'm just judging it too much. Like, if I had assets and I wanted to try making a new game, maybe. But the price of it, the monetization, the imbalance, the balance issues, where the Raider was too strong, or the Raider was too strong, or like the humans were too weak. And it's like, there's this like, because when it first started, it was like you could beat the villain just by killing them once. But as the game progressed, the villains would revive. Like when it got to, I think, Vegeta or Nappa. When Nappa dies, it immediately switches to Vegeta. And I'm like, huh? Like, it's hard enough, because I played it. It was free on PlayStation Plus. And I was like, that's where all bad games go to die. PlayStation Plus. But I played it and I was like, so let me get this straight. It takes so much time and effort just to get up to like level 2 or level 3. The resources are not infinite. Once you get up to that point, that's all that you have. Like, you don't get to stay, like when you transform, you don't stay as like Goku for like the whole match. No, there's a time limit on it. So we all get to level 3. We beat up Nappa and we're like, yeah, we won. And then Vegeta shows up out of nowhere, kills Nappa, and then kills all of us because we can't fight back. And I'm like, whose idea was this? But then you got the monetization. And I'm like, can we have Dragon Ball games without like paid DLC or like a monetization model? Why is that a thing that we have to encourage? And I say this, we encourage that behavior by buying into it. But anyway, these guys played it like the first beta. They made like maybe a couple of videos. And my litmus test to test whether this YouTuber actually enjoys the game or just is talking, especially if it's a live service game. If it's like a narrative type of game, like if it's a, single player, you play it once, you're basically done. With that, it's easy. It's like, okay, they play the whole game until completion. Either they just wanted to finish it or they actually enjoyed the experience. On the other hand, when it's a live service game like Marvel Rivals, you got Destiny 2, like games like that, it's based, and fighting games too, because, that's kind of like a progression thing. But when it comes to games like that, fighting games, live service games, stuff like that, it is dictated to me by like a 3-month test. 3 months. As in, if they are making videos consistently about that game for 3 months, they like it. And you're like, oh, but that seems kind of long. No. One of the people that I actually watch who was playing the Breakers demo, this man was uploading every single day about Dragon Ball Fighters for a whole year. And he keeps going back to that game. So I don't want to, I think 2 to 3 months is a good litmus test. Especially if they're posting every single day or like every other week. That's a pretty good litmus test to see if that person is actually honest. Because they'll say in their videos anything. They'll be like, man, this is a great game. I love it. I love it. I love it. 3 weeks later, they haven't uploaded anything. They've gone off to a new game. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem comes in where you are hyping up something and you're hyping it up. You're hyping it up. YouTubers walk a fine line of being overly involved or overly excited versus being truthful. Like, you're not going to sit there and tell me that you guys were up there singing the praises of Dragon Ball The Breakers, and then 3 weeks after the game is dropped, you've only played it like twice. So, did you like it or not? Fast forward to Sparking Zero, right? Sparking Zero was the most hype I've ever been for a Dragon Ball game in a long, long time. And I think I could say that for a lot of people. But for me, I still refuse to buy the pre-order. And it's like, why are we pre-ordering digital games? Like, I remember seeing this meme. It's like, you're the dumbest creature on earth. But then, the ape turns it on you. Like, you guys buy digital, like you pre-order digital games as if they're going to run out. And it's like, dang, bro, you got to come for me. And again, I don't feel bad about it because I don't do that. But I do feel bad for other people that I may know who do that. Like, it's a religion. Like, bro, if it's a new game, I have to pre-order it. I don't know how that's going to work out because you can almost guarantee that whatever is in a pre-order is eventually going to be made available for purchase. So what you thought you were getting that was exclusive to you isn't necessarily exclusive. It's just you're paying your money up front. Now, as we were watching every single trailer, they focused on the beautiful art, the gameplay, and all the other stuff. And that was it. They focused on PvP, right? Now, the turnoff for me, and again, I assume something without actually looking it up. And that's my fault. But I don't know if there was any information about this. But for me and a lot of other people, what kind of drove the Dragon Ball games was the single player experience. As in, you played the single player to get better at the game so that you could play against your friends. Because when you start a game, you don't want to immediately just jump into rank and be like, I'm throwing hands with this gold rank and I'm bronze. You won't learn much of anything because they're just going to be wailing on you. They're not going to teach you anything. So you play the story, figure out the mechanics, get your timing down. You do this, you do that. And I was like, okay, that's typically how I would play the Budokai Tenkaichi games. I would play the story to get better at it before I would try playing it against somebody else, a real person. I think that's a good way to go against or to go about most games. Sparking Zero, like, literally punched me in the face with the single player mode, with the single player story mode. Man, I am just tongue tied today. Because what it amounted to was just slideshows. And I said this. I was like, why are we speed running Z to get to Super? And in Super, I fought Goku Black like 5 times. 5 times. But in the Frieza arc, I only fought Frieza once. He's the only character I fought. Now, I might be exaggerating, but you get the point. Whereas like I spent every single saga before that, I'm fighting just one person. And this is Goku's story. Where Goku threw hands with a lot of different people. He fought the Ginyu Force. Why am I not fighting Ginyu? Or Raccoon? Or Birder? Or, why is it that I only get 1 fight with them, but I'll get 5 with Goku Black? Why? Then we get to the Tournament of Power. I'm fighting Jiren like 3 times. 1 in base form, 2nd in, Ultra Instinct. And then, the final battle. And I'm like, this is stupid. And it's slideshows. And people are like, well, they just focused all their time on the animations for the characters. I'm like, they have the animations. That is what you guys were showing in the trailer. The animations for the characters. Use those. Use them. You have the movesets. You have the assets. Just use them in a story. Like, no. I'm counting that lazy. And that's what's happening with the Naruto games, where it's more about, it's the quality of the stories dipped, like the new character roster is lackluster. Even the super attack animations are being drawn back because there's so many of them. And that's a problem just within itself. That's why I don't pre-order, because you never know how much you're going to enjoy something, until you buy it and you play it. Games are not cheap, Nintendo. I am not pre-ordering a Nintendo Switch just for you to break it for whenever you feel like it. I'm not pre-ordering Mario World for a downgraded version of the recent Mario Kart, to where you have to drive from one track to the other. I am not paying money for a driving simulator. Who said that was a good idea? And then the Pokemon game, where it's like it's less adventure and you're stuck to a city. And there are Pokemon zones. I'm not buying anything from Nintendo ever again anymore. But yet we have indie titles that will drop and you just buy it. There's no pre-order, at least not that I know of. Because a lot of times when I find games that are, good, I just find them on Steam one day. And I just play them. I'm like, okay, cool. This is a fun game. My Nintendo Switch, I have played more, what is it, Nexomon, that thing, way more than I have any Pokemon game. Because I'm like, I'm not paying $70 for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond or whatever. Like, I went to a local card shop and they were having like a swap meet or whatever. And somebody had a physical copy of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. And they were selling it for $10. I bought it immediately. Because I'm like, this is probably the only Nintendo product. Because on my Switch, the only Nintendo game that I actually have on there, like I bought and I downloaded, was Mario Maker. Because that's an interesting concept. Not Mario Golf. Not Wii Sports. Like, huh? Mario Kart, Mario Party. It's all the same thing. But people will salivate at the mouth because they're like, oh, we're getting a brand new Mario Kart. And I'm like, bro, like you just had one. And it's probably better than the new one they're releasing. Why put forth all that effort when we can put forth the least amount of effort and make the most amount of profit? And I feel like we are getting away from pre-orders more and more, especially as prices, quote unquote, increase for games. Because people will quote like, oh, tariffs and all that stuff. I'm like, digital games will have to travel across the seas. I could go on right now on the Steam and purchase a game that was quote unquote made overseas. I'm not paying a shipping cost. I'm not paying taxes on that, the shipping or whatever. I'm paying for the game and whatever taxes are associated with purchasing it through the platform that I'm doing so through. Right? That's how that works. So games, and I was even talking with someone about like the whole GTA 6 and like how they delayed it again until next year. And I'm like, at this point, just keep playing GTA 5. Like, people have been milking and playing that game and having fun with it for the past couple of years. And nobody's complaining. That is a fun game. Keep at it. Like, people will continue to make the joke about, oh, we'll get this before GTA 6. And that joke will probably still be relevant. Because I feel like, and it's just me, I feel like they delayed it. I could be wrong, but this is just me. Personal theory. That they delayed it again because of all the heat and plaque that other companies are receiving for lackluster products or things that they're doing or things that they're including in their games that people don't want. So they're about to release a game that probably has those things in it or unfinished bits. And I'm like, what kind of game are you producing that takes that long to make, that people are going to be, that's going to improve on what GTA 5 already has? Like, tell me what brand new features, because I think me and my buddy were like joking. He was like, yeah, they said that you can play basketball in it. And I'm like, huh? There are a lot of games you can play basketball in. There are literal basketball games on their own. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like with a lot of us, we are becoming more conscious about what we're spending our money on. And we should be. Stop buying pre-orders. Stop it. Get some help. Because, again, all this stuff is digital. What are you missing out on? They're going to run out. When Dragon Ball Sparking Zero dropped, I waited a couple of hours before I bought it. Was it sold out when I bought it? No. There were still copies available. Well, would you look at that? I could still buy it. There was not a limit to how many could be purchased at one time. There is no limit. So why would I pre-order? The DLC, I think The DLC was the Daima characters, which I don't like Daima either. Whatever. And I'll probably get flack for that too, but I don't care. Like, I don't understand this obsession with wanting to turn Goku and his friends into kids. They did that in GT, but it was just Goku. But now it's a whole series. And I'm like, bro, what is it with you guys and trying to like relive that Dragon Ball nostalgia? It's never going to happen again. Never. How many times we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Like, nobody cares. And I think they were talking about the super manga continuing. I'm like, whatever. I don't really care. Like, I feel like a lot of it should, just end. And it's okay for things to end. Like, we need to stop this idea that things just need to go on forever and ever. And that's what Nintendo thinks. Like, as long as we keep Mario alive, and even if he's on life support, Mario will be the greatest character in people's minds. Not until you keep exploiting him, and those things like Donkey Kong Country will never be that exciting of a game for me to pay almost $100 for. No. Because I could play a game that probably has similar features or better features than that game for less than that. Because now you guys are putting yourselves, because pre-orders were optional. As in, if there was a game that was released for $40 and they said the pre-orders are 100. But with that pre-order, you get like the Sly Cooper example I used earlier. If they said the Sly Cooper game was $40 and if you paid $100 for everything, you would get all that memorabilia plus a signed copy of the game, I would pay it. I think that would be a rare situation. But that's never going to happen. So, wishful thinking. Like, when are we getting a reboot of that? Can we stop milking The Last of Us? I will stop. I will stop. Last of Us Complete Edition. Get that out of here. Anywho, you can only do so much with video games. I think we have reached a point in video game history where video games will be either like as realistic as they're going to be, or we're literally playing real life. And I don't want that. Like, whoever said that I wanted to play a game that was just like my life? As in where everything is so realistic that it's almost like me walking outside, touching grass, and then it's like in the game, I could do the same thing. Like, why would I want that? You're not replacing. Whenever I play video games, I play the most fantastical things ever because my life, reality sucks. So I go into a fictional world where things kind of suck or suck even more, but there's a hero and I can be that hero. You put yourself in the role of the main character. That's what people do. Now, if you are like, oh, we're going to increase the prices of games to $100 just for the base game, you're creating a problem that you cannot solve, right? But let's do it like this, right? If the price of things increase, but your salary or the wage throughout the country doesn't, what makes you think that somebody who could barely afford to pay $80 for a game, or barely 80 or barely 60, would be willing to throw down $40 more for your single game? When they already have a library of games that are good, games that actually go on sale, Nintendo, they can purchase whenever they want. They could go to other websites, get them discounted. Like, here, this is what I'm saying with these companies. You guys are screwing yourselves over in the long run. Think about it. You can say, oh, this is what it actually costs for us to make a game. And you can say you can put whatever price you want on it. Like, you go to these art shows in like the local towns and you're like, you look at this painting and it's like the size of your hand, but they're selling it for $200. And you're like, bro, I would never pay that much for that thing. But if it was a little bit bigger and it was the same thing, you'd be like, maybe. Like, no, there will never be a time where people will justify paying that much for a single thing. Now, I say that, but then people will shell out $2,000 for an iPhone, $2,000 for an Android, which Androids have not, or iPhones have not, like, their features, their, I guess, their growth in terms of features and all the other stuff has not increased for years. It's literally just doing it is a self-perpetuating machine. We have to get something out to you. Doesn't have to be good or that different. We'll just throw in some extra words in there, make it sound better than it is, and you guys will eat it up. Now, I am sure that the number of people spending $2,000 on a new iPhone is decreasing over time. You guys are becoming more self-aware, more financially aware that I can't be spending my money on stupid crap. Take a page out of Sergeant Survival's book here. Your money is your money. You choose what to do with it. And what I choose to do is I'm not paying a cent towards Nintendo. Not for Ubisoft, not to Sony. Like, I will literally, I have a Nintendo Switch 1. And when they said that, when they literally said, oh, if you can't afford the Nintendo Switch 2, just buy the Nintendo Switch 1. And I'm like, dang, man, y'all spitting. Y'all really are spitting. You're never getting any money. And then when they're like, oh, we've already sold out. I'm like, those are scalpers, dude. Those are scalpers. Like when people like to point to that. And I also hate this as well, where people will point to something and say, this is a clear indicator that people want what we have. No, that isn't. When new Pokemon cards, new Yu-Gi-Oh cards hit the shelves, scalpers will run to those places, buy them out, and try to upsell them on eBay, on whatever freaking site that allows you to sell things over the market price or whatever it is. Right? Like, I remember that I saw like a reel the other day where a Target, like basically Target is doing this thing where if people come to buy cars, they can only buy one thing of it. I think that's wonderful. And I think that's excessive. Workers shouldn't have to do that crap. Why does a worker have to monitor how many cards for a children's card game? And you're like, adults play it too. It is literally made for kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. I grew up with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I still play Yu-Gi-Oh! But the point of the matter is, it is literally a piece of cardboard with a pretty image put on it with some text for a card game. Scalpers aren't going after Uno. They're going after the things that people will pay outrageous amounts of money for. And if people stop doing that, scalpers can't do anything. I dare you, listeners, please be smart. I don't care how much you want a Nintendo Switch 2. And with all the issues they had with the Nintendo Switch 1, you should be extra concerned about this new one. Hardware issues. Like, bro, learn the lesson. Save your money. Like for me, I didn't buy the Nintendo Switch 1 right away. I saved up my money and I bought one. Same with my VR headset. I don't care if it's a Meta Quest 2. I saved up my money to get it. Where some people will be like, I need to have this now. That's the mentality of pre-orders. Is that I need this in my blood veins now. I need this game in my life at this moment in time, at this current moment, this current juncture in time. I need this. Like wrap up your arm, stick the needle in, and just ecstasy. I'm not about that life because ecstasy is a temporary feeling. Financial problems can be a long-lasting effect. You know what I'm saying? Because if they're saying, oh, this console is worth 600, 500, or whatever. Are you ready for a near future where you're paying 1,000, 1,200 for a PlayStation console that still cannot operate at the same capacity as a decently built PC? I use my PlayStation to watch movies. Like, there will always be like this funny bit of like where people are like, because in like some games you can tell like what console or where people are playing certain games on. And I think it's funny when people are like, oh, you're still playing on a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 3? Man, you must be poor. And I'm like, or, I haven't run into that situation, but I think to myself, when I watch these things and I hear these things, I'm like, or maybe they're just really smart with their money and they realize that, like, I still have a PlayStation 4. I'm fine with that. I hate exclusive titles. I am not buying a PlayStation 5 just to play Spider-Man 2. When I can be a patient individual and wait for it to hit Steam. Which it has. I haven't bought it yet, but I will when I played all the other games on my library. But anywho, the point of the matter is those with patience actually, get to reap the rewards. Those with impulses will get burned later on. Companies know you. They know how to market to you. They know how to entice you. They know to do certain things in order to get you riled up and sweating to grab your wallet and throw all of your money at them. But you have to be smarter than the companies. It's all a game. Money is a game. Life is a game. It's about who's playing it better, right? Are you going to tell me that you let Nintendo punk you out of $600, $700, $900 for the game console, the accessories, that's just the console and the accessories by themselves? Are you going to sit there and tell me you let Nintendo, all companies, punk you out? Wow. Or are you going to tell me you are a Chad amongst Chads? You're going to put your foot down and say, Nintendo, suck whatever you want, because I'm not paying for that. I'm not. Because if I do, that's going to set a precedence for you. That's going to make you think it's okay to continue to do this. No, I want you to go bankrupt. And I think that's another thing we also need to understand. These companies are not the same companies we grew up with. All the horrible stuff that's happening with Ubisoft, I don't feel bad, because that's not the Ubisoft that I grew up with. People come and go. Creative teams come and go. Ideas kind of come and go. Like, that's the whole thing, right? CEOs don't stay the same. People move on. Like, even with Nintendo, that is exactly how it was. It was like, it was a company made for customers, and now it's a company made for the company. A company made for the shareholders. Let them go bankrupt. I don't care. There are plenty of indie developers who are still making better games than you. If Nintendo goes under, you can still play your Nintendo Switch if it hasn't been bricked yet. If Nintendo goes under, you can still, because that's the thing. We have to pay a subscription just to play online with your friends. Why? Why am I paying that? Whose idea was this? Anywho, it's almost an hour of all this, but I think I have gotten my point across with pre-orders that it is up to you to make the wise decision. Games will not run out. Most games, unless it's Nintendo, will go on sale. And you'll waste money if you buy something that you are not going to enjoy. I did not enjoy Sparking Zero for what it was. It could have been better. It could have been great. But now it's just sweaties who dominate the PvP. The story mode sucks. And outside of the story mode, there's nothing else to do. That's why Xenoverse 2, despite how old it is, and me thinking it should be dead by now, it's still around because it offers so much and so many different things that you can do. You can play the story mode. You can do parallel quests. You can do raids. You can do tournament. You can do all these different things that are single player oriented, PvP, that are PvP oriented. Like there's no lack. Now, of course, after you get to, and I also feel like that's another point too. You don't have to play a game forever. Just play it for the time being while it's fun. You'll have new players who'll come and, and all the other good stuff. But most games are just made to be played maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times. Like I played the first Outlast about 3 times, roughly. Because I like that game. It's a fun game. But after that 3rd time or 4th time or 5th time, it's kind of like, well, what more am I getting out of it? Right? With Xenoverse, I beat the story mode. I got all the, moves, techniques, and everything. Now, of course, they released DLC afterwards, but it's like, I've done everything that I feel is worth my time, and I got my money's worth. I can put Xenoverse 2 on the shelf, and I can go back to it. As long as the servers are still up, but I can go back to it whenever I want. Phasmophobia, it's still there. It's still getting support. I can go back whenever I want to just play it. I can play solo. I can play with others. I can do whatever I want. All the single player games I have. Left 4 Dead 2. You can play that single player. You can play that with others. You have custom maps. Like, it is A-okay to not be excited about games. It's A-okay to not pre-order. It is A-okay to say, I can wait on this. It's okay. And parents, because I'm a parent now, it's okay to say no. Wait on it. Because that's your money. If my kids came to me and said, Daddy, I want the new console. And I say, well, how much is it? It's $2,000. And I'm like, $2,000 of whose money? I'd research it. I'd be like, but kids, you could get this, which is $200. It has the same amount of specs. And the only thing you're sacrificing is a controller. Like, I would explain it to them that way. I wouldn't just be like, oh, you can't have it. It'd be like, is there a better option? Are you actually paying for something good, or are you just paying for the name? Which at this point, with a lot of companies, is just the name. So, viewers, please be financially savvy. We're gamers, but we're smart gamers. Speak with your wallets. So, that's it for this episode. Like I said, the intent, the expectation is to at least post every Friday. I think I can do that. Now, you guys, if you're listening to this on the podcast, whatever podcast that you're hearing this on, please make sure to follow, share, just kind of think about these things that I talked about today. If you're on YouTube, I love you. Well, care for you as much as YouTubers do care for their audience. But thank you guys for listening this far. If you liked what you hear, please hit that like button. If you guys want to hear more or are interested in our content, like I said, we talk about, it's just me right now, but the boys, we talk about games, video games, any form of media, music, all that stuff in one place. You get a lot of different perspectives, but overall, if you like it, want to hear more, subscribe. And until next time, viewers, peace out.